this is Katie, and thank you for joining me on the My Senses, My Space podcast. And today I wanted to talk about simplifying the holidays. And right now, when I'm recording this, it is December here in the Northern Hemisphere, and so we're experiencing winter. And there can be a lot going on right now. There can be a lot of feelings. There can be a lot of busy to-dos. There can be a lot of expectations. And also like thinking about the traditions of our families and what has been handed down to us and ways that we formed new traditions in our families. Many times when we venture forth out of our nuclear families, out of our parents or caregivers who have brought us up, and then we go and form our own families, whatever that looks like. That can be chosen families, that can be, having kids, whatever it is to you. When we kind of take that next step and are kind of on our own, we start to form like traditions that we think are important to us. And some things, we bring along and we think about like, how did we experience this growing up? How can I carry this on to my kids if I want to, if that's really something that is near and dear to my heart. But sometimes we let things go. Sometimes we find that we just aren't as connected to some of the things that we did as children. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes it takes a while to kind of think about each one of like, why do I do this? What is the meaning of doing this? And how does it help me connect to myself and others? How do these traditions really serve me and my family and my friends? And how can this all kind of like come together to be a really good holiday for myself? Because you can only kind of control what you can do, right? I always like to invite my family members, whether they're, because I'm a parent, it's my husband and my son, but I always like to invite them to see if they want to participate in these, because they may not feel as connected as I do. But also I do love doing certain things with them as well. And so, inviting them and saying, hey, this is important to me. Would you like to join me? And so it still gives them like the agency to decide, like, is this something that's feeling really good to them? And do they have the energy to do it? Are there things that they could become sensory overloaded with? Is there something that just doesn't fit, their hearts and their goals for the holiday season? Is it something that really they enjoy as well? So, leaving things as kind of an open invite and saying, you know what, those who participate will participate. And we can feel sadness if there's something there that you are longing to have everyone do and they just opt out. That can feel really hard. Our tendency is to say, no, we're all doing this. We're doing this now. But what are we doing in that moment? Why are we forcing that to happen to everybody? Because in the long run, I remember experiencing times where I'm just like, I do not feel like this is part of how I want to celebrate the holidays. But I wasn't given a big choice about it. And, it didn't like crush my soul or anything. I lived through it. I got to the other side and decided it wasn't for me. I'm talking more about like the going to church every year because I just wasn't connected That wasn't my way of experiencing spirituality, and it was kind of forced down upon me. So I chose differently, and I have different spiritual practices now moving forward. But I do wish I had less pressure to participate in those. And I think if you look at yourself and you're thinking like, what am I forcing on people, and what have I felt forced upon? So, and I don't use the word force lightly. I'm just like, I'm trying to think of another word of just like, that's the only word I can kind of think of right now. But I think, really just getting to the core of what the holidays mean for you. And those holidays are a celebration of, going one more lap around the sun here, much like a birthday. But I mean, it's just like, it's that time of year where things are a little magical. You're able to make things twinkle with lights or candles or decorations. And there's just something kind of special about that. There can be something really romantic about snow falling if it snows where you are. I know a lot of people it doesn't. I've just felt really fortunate to feel that seasonal celebration of the snow falling around this time of year. We've had some snowy Christmases and holiday times, and we don't always. And but it is something really, really special for me to experience, and it's why I live in the area that I do in the Pacific Northwest. And that's very fortunate. I'm very, very lucky to be able to do that. But I also have been looking at things of like, what can I let go of? And especially this last year, I have to be honest, I was getting rid of quite a lot of decorations that I had from the last 15, 20 years. Like some of those first decorations that you bring into your new household. Like we bought like a little 4-foot tree. I think it's on its last legs right now. We bought it in like year 2000. And here it is. It's over 20 years later, and it's kind of broken, and we used it as much as we could, right? We've had real trees kind of come in and out. We've had gifted trees to us twice, that we feel really fortunate about. And we use things as much as we can, but there's these times where we just have to kind of let things go as well. There's traditions of making certain recipes, like 7 layers were this, kind of bar recipe that it's like half candy, not quite cookie. They're like more bars. And we've always done them. And I remember even my friends and my sister's friends, like growing up, would just be like, I love how you guys as a family make these every year because they are the best. And then I found it really funny that Starbucks was making them just a few years back. I don't know if they are anymore, but they would make them very close to how we would, which is 6 layers. So, and it's just real quick, the graham cracker with butter, and then sprinkle in chocolate chips, sprinkle in butterscotch chips, put a little coconut, and then put the sweetened condensed milk on top. I had to make a dairy-free version that I've been refining over the last couple of years because I didn't want to let that tradition go. That's a really important tradition to me. And I love how my son gets excited about that. And so does my husband. He very much likes them as well. So and actually, before we got together, I actually sent him some in the mail when he went home for the holidays while we were going to college together. And I remember sending him some. Yeah, I just remembered that. Anyway, but as you can see, there's just so many elements to the holidays, right? There's so many things, so many moving parts, so many like, let's go out and do this together. Let's make this together. Let's buy this together. Let's experience this together. Let's, as a family, do this together. And, we usually play this game every year. We have like a certain way of gift giving. Whatever it is, there's so many layers to it. But you get to decide which ones are actually deep down serving you, and what is it time to let go of. And we change over the years. Every year, I actually found a little note in our all of our decorations this year that said, hey, last year, guess what? This is what happened. Like literally just a little sticky note. And it said at the bottom, I hope this last year was better. Because it was rough. It was during like the pandemic. And so to see that and go, wow, even in this last year, I've changed so much, and I've decided to do things differently. I've decided to let things go. I've decided what is really important about this time. And looking at your own spirituality of what you celebrate, looking at what family means to you and can be chosen family, and what is like really important that you would miss after the holidays if you didn't have the opportunity to do it. And I'm talking about something that you can control. Like, what could you actually do that you have the energy for, that you have the bandwidth for, that you really want to do? And that is like the essence of what you can be like, this is my number one thing. It could be a couple things, but this is the number one thing that makes me feel the most in the moment and experiencing this. And things can change next year. So I hope that gives you a little bit of perspective. So thank you for joining me on the My Senses, My Space podcast.